In this video, I'll be teaching you how to film your creative process so that you can turn it into a reel using Premiere Mobile. I think if you have a hard time filming your creative process, creating a setup once and you can reuse it every time you go sit down to make art is exactly what you want to be doing. So here's the filming setup I recommend. If you're using your phone, you can use more of a lightweight phone arm with a desk clamp like this. And the cool thing here is you can make sure you're filming with the back camera. You can point it down to your art like this. Make sure you have your camera on your non-dominant side so that your dominant hand doesn't block the actual painting happening, right? The second thing you might need to have is a diffused light panel on a different desk clamp. Sometimes when you're drawing, there's a lot of shadows being cast by yourself, or if you just don't have great light in your room. If you can have the diffused light panel clamped in a way where the light is coming overhead, then you'll really be able to see your drawing and avoid casting all those shadows. If you do have a camera that you want to be using instead of a phone, then I recommend getting a desk clamp that's like this. It's a bit sturdier, and you can have an arm attached to it with your heavier camera body. And basically, once you have a filming setup, you can reuse it every time. Once you record, we need to talk about media organization. So if you're doing an entirely mobile process, then on your phone, you just want to make sure as soon as you're done recording that you select all of the videos from that session and put them in an album. This is just going to help you long term so that you're not basically searching for these clips every single time you need them. If you're using a camera to film, then you want to offload those files onto your computer and set them into a folder. If you're using your camera, but then you're editing on your phone, then you want to send those files to your phone, maybe via Dropbox, and put them all together in an album again. So for file organization, this is basically what I do when I edit on my computer. I have a project folder that houses the Adobe Premiere project, my footage folder, which will have those clips, my graphics folder, if there's any sort of graphics I want to add on top of my video, then I have my music and sound effects folder, and finally my exports folder where I have the final export. All right, let's move into the actual editing phase. So let's jump on over to my iPad. First things first, we need to open Premiere. And from here, we're gonna go new from library, and I have everything here in an album. These are the clips that I selected, and I'm gonna hit next, and it's gonna load it into my project. Now, I recommend the first thing you do is actually to record your voiceover. So let me show you how I would do that. I'm gonna hit music and audio, voiceover. So here is the little script that I have just in my notes. And now I'm gonna go ahead and record my voiceover. Time to freeze my hands off drawing the Philadelphia Union opening match. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my clips since I know I don't want that audio. So with my first clip selected, I'm gonna hit volume, and I'm going to just hit that. And then I'm gonna hit this little stack so it applies it to everything. And you can see all clips are muted now. So let's play my voiceover through one time. Time to freeze my hands off drawing the Philadelphia Union opening match. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut some of this down. So now it's a lot shorter. And from here, I would edit everything down so you have clips that are capturing a small action, but you want to be telling it like in a sequential way, right? And I recommend your clips being 1 second max. If you recorded yourself drawing, which I did here, I recommend cutting right before you make a move. So right here, I draw a line. So I'm gonna cut right before and right after. This is just my preference. I think it looks a little bit more interesting this way, and then I'll go right to the next one. So I basically cut out that fluff. And I'm gonna show you how I make it a little more interesting. So without having anything selected, you wanna hit video and images, go into photo library, and I have these overlays right here. I'm gonna add it next, and it brings it in here. The cool thing is you just hit move up, and now it's an overlay that you can tweak, and I just dragged in the end, and I can add another one. So that's how you can add some more visual interest. And these are also just photo overlays that I added to show my reference image as I was drawing. One other thing I would do is add some music. All you need to do is go to +, music and audio, and then we go to soundtracks. All of these soundtracks are provided for free from Adobe, and you can use them in any of your commercial projects. There's a commercial license built in. So here I'm gonna go to moods, and I want something that is inspiring and also maybe happy. So this is the soundtrack that I found. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the +, and it's gonna load into my project. I'm gonna trim it right at the end of my video. If your voiceover sounds a little iffy, maybe there's too much background noise, don't worry about it. You can select your voiceover and hit enhance speech. I like to keep it somewhere between 20 and 30, but this is what it sounds like without. Time to freeze my hands off at the Philadelphia Union opening match. This is what it sounded with. Time to freeze my hands off at the Philadelphia Union opening match. So it really helps clarify that audio. Finally, if you do use voiceovers, be sure to add captions. So all you need to do is hit titles and captions here, captions, create from only the voiceover, create captions. So there we have them. Now zoom in, tap on my captions, style, maybe this one. I can choose my font and the color and even the layout right about there. Let's play that through. Time to freeze my hands off at the Philadelphia Union opening match. Drawing at games is one of my favorite things because it's socially acceptable to be staring at the players and no one is actually paying attention to you because there's a performance happening. Plus, it really helps me feel in the moment because I remember all the little details that I draw. So next time you go to a game, take your sketchbook. Now that we're all set with the edit, the last thing we need to do is export. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit that arrow button, go to export settings. I wanna export at 1080 30 for social. That sounds good. And then I'm gonna hit export video. There we go, export complete. So next time you document your creative process, don't be shy. Go ahead and actually edit it into a reel. It's easier than you think. And the more that you practice it, the easier that it'll get. All right, guys, catch you in the next video. Bye.